In today's market, land buyers are starved for good deals. Because when you look at any real estate market across the United States, all you see are all of these incredible land listings for property that is available for sale. But the problem is that all of that land is grossly overpriced. Many of the properties that are listed for sale are listed for asking prices that are between 2 to 3 times the actual market value of the land. But what buyers don't understand about that, and what I want you to know if you're trying to buy land right now, is that many of these same exact sellers will accept and routinely do accept offers at 50% or more below asking price. It happens all the time, and oftentimes it happens without the seller even negotiating. That is, of course, if you actually make them an offer in the first place. Because once you understand the truth about how the land market really works, you separate yourself from 90% or more of the buyers in the market. Just by making an offer and understanding this, you realize that the more you watch this video and learn what I'm about to tell you, land gets cheaper by the minute. And that's what this video is all about. What we're going to cover in this video is, number one, the proof that list price is completely irrelevant when it comes to vacant land. We're going to talk about the stark difference between what the seller asks for versus what they'll actually accept. We're going to talk about how to actually make offers and get big discounts on on-market property, even if you have no experience buying land before. We're also going to talk about how to use the latest technology that's now available to make land buying easier than it's ever been before. Now, in order to find good value on land in the open market, you first need to understand what good value looks like. And specifically, to understand why asking price is irrelevant, you have to see specific examples of what happens between the time that a property initially goes on the market, often at a nosebleed asking price that no one's actually going to pay, down to the moment a few months after that, when the property actually sells at an eye-watering discount when nobody's paying attention. Take a look at this 54.89 acre property in Mount Clair, West Virginia. This property was initially brought to market in September of 2024, listed for $500,000. 1 month later, price cut to $450,000, then a price cut to $375,000, then a price cut to $315,000. Then it goes pending, and then it sells at $290,000, which is a 42% discount below the original asking price after about 12 months on market. Now take a look at this next example. This is a 35-acre property in St. Croix, Minnesota. This property initially came onto the market in December of 2023 at a price of $1.6 million. Then there were no buyers. The listing then expired the following July in 2024 and was then brought back on the market a few days later at $1.495 million. And then just a week after that, the listing was removed. And I hope you're sitting down for this, but 3 days after it was removed, it was relisted for $675,000. Then it finally sold at $635,000, which is a 60.3% discount to the original asking price, a total discount of $965,000 US dollars. Now, take a look at this last one in Whiteville, North Carolina, 31.3 acres. This property was listed at $93,000. It eventually had a price cut down to $30,000, went contingent, and then sold at $22,500, which is a 75.8% discount to the original asking price after just 2 months. Now, you may think that I'm cherry picking these examples, and if you thought that, I don't fault you at all. But the reality is that anybody that is watching this can verify in any market that if you just sample 10 sold listings of land anywhere in the country, you'll find at least 1 or 2 listings with massive price cuts, sometimes 2 or 3 or 4. Based on my experience and research, having done research for this and many other videos on the channel, I would estimate that anywhere from 15 to 25% of all land that sells anywhere in the country sells at discounts of 50% or more below the original asking price when that property came to market. Now, it's funny because, the reason that buyers don't know about this is because I'm the only one that talks about it, which is very weird for me because so many thousands of people every single year are out there buying land. Land is 25, 30% of the value of all real estate in the entire world. It is a market that consists of trillions of dollars of asset value. It's hidden in plain sight. It's happening all around us. This is basic information and it will never be discussed. And I don't know why. See, it's weird for me because it's true. And the fact that this is true is important. You actually have to understand this if you're buying land. But the other thing is that not only is it true, but it's also old news. Like, this has been the case for decades, hundreds of years. And it's also true in a way that is very clear and very obvious that anybody can easily verify. If you have a laptop or cell phone and an internet connection, you can just go on Zillow and see all this for yourself. The reason that anybody can easily verify this is because this is how the land market works. Number one, sellers don't know what their land is worth, so they overprice it. That's step one. Step two is that 90% of the buyers in the market take a look at these eye-watering asking prices and they don't make offers. Step three is that the people that do make offers are probably less than 10% of the total buyer pool. And the people that make offers well below asking price. They make low offers. And then the fourth and final step in the process is that the seller has to make a very basic choice. And that choice is, do you want to sell? And if they want to sell, the question is, do you want to stay on the market indefinitely and decline the offer? Or do you want to sell at the buyer's price? Now, many sellers and potentially even most sellers, depending on what market you're looking at, they don't want to sell. They have no interest in selling. It sounds very counterintuitive, but it's true. See, they list the property because it feeds their ego. They don't really want to sell it. They're not emotionally ready to sell it. What happens is that they want to look at a big number and they want to talk to all their friends about it. Like, hey, Bob, I saw you put the farm up for sale. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. What was the price again? 2.95 million? 2.95 million? Really? Do you think it is actually going to sell for that? Well, that's what it's worth. Bullshit. It's not. It's not worth that. And I would normally talk about how these sellers are delusional for even saying that it's worth that because, they say the words, they make the claim that they know what it's worth, but deep down, they're smart people. They can see these expired listings 6 months, 12 months, 18, 24 months on the market where there's no real buyers. And the buyers that make offers that are for real are offering at a fraction of the asking price. And these sellers can understand deep down that the land isn't actually worth what they're asking. But they just get this endorphin hit from watching the agent chase around real buyers. And they get this delicious rush of dopamine, turning down offers at 150, 200% of what the land is actually worth. And the reason that they get those feelings and they get that satisfaction is because they're not real sellers. Guys, if they actually had to do the work of selling the land themselves, they wouldn't even care enough to answer the phone when real buyers called them. It is only when somebody else does the work for them for free on contingency that they have the luxury beliefs and the luxury opinions about how great their land is. But they're not sellers. And it's not that complicated, guys, because here's what a seller is. A seller is a person who is willing to sell a thing to a market buyer at a market price. That's what a seller is. So if that's the case, and if we understand that these aren't sellers, then why in the world would you care if a fake seller turns down your real offer? It makes no sense at all. Everything gets so simple when you realize that asking price is BS. It's not real. It doesn't exist. There's nothing there. You can't take it seriously. You can't think about it at all. When land buyers take asking price seriously, buying land is hard because there's no value anywhere on the market. And the stuff that's actually priced to sell goes under contract in 4 days over the first weekend that it's listed. And you have to move so quickly, but you have a day job and you miss the opportunities that are there because you're taking asking price seriously. And that makes this process so hard. But when buyers don't take asking price seriously, buying land is easy. And in the middle, between these two perspectives, there's no effort, there's no cost, there's no sacrifice, there's no trade off. It's just like a light switch. Like, oh, hey, that's interesting. Yeah, no one ever told me that. And that's right. And that is why I am telling you now. By the way, if you haven't downloaded our free due diligence checklist for land buyers, do yourself a favor, check out the link in the description below. And for anybody that wants a little bit more support in the land buying process, if you're interested in a step-by-step guide with proven playbooks and deep solutions to navigate every phase of the land buying process, check out the Land Purchase Navigator. This is a self-guided online education product with 5+ hours of immersive video content, downloadable guides, and step-by-step systems that anybody can apply to buy land like a pro with no prior experience whatsoever. Check out the QR code on the side of the screen, the link in the description below, or check us out on acrewell.com. This is the #1 platform for land buyer education in the world. So now I'm going to show you some examples of overpriced land on the market, because what we're going to do is talk about some of these listings that are grossly overpriced that are going to help you to not feel bad about making the offer that you have to make if you want to buy these properties, which is a fraction of what the sellers are asking for. We'll look at a couple of specific listings, guys, and then we're going to talk about how to navigate the stark differences between what the seller wants and what the market will actually bear and what you should actually pay on some of these. So let's take a look at this property. It's 7.9 acres on State Route 60 in Lake Wales, Florida. This is in Polk County, just sort of like a marketplace outside of Orlando. This property is a $1.4 million listing. And it's zoned BPC 2X. Basically, it's like a business park center zoning, industrial zoning kind of is the right idea there. When you look, though, on the Zillow listing, you see these great photos, you see this big number, and you would naturally assume that this land has incredible value. But when you actually go onto the land portal and you look at the environmental filters on this particular property, you see that 100% of the property is covered up in wetlands and flood zone. And the wetlands is very clearly visible on satellite view. And if you take the wetlands at face value, which I assume the map is substantially accurate, the property is not buildable, meaning you can't actually build on it. And what's funny is, like, it's very subtle, but if you look at the entrance to the property to the north, it looks like it's actually covered by train tracks. So I don't even know how, if you have access, like if you can even access the property, or like what type of permitting and approval process would be involved with cutting in a driveway perpendicular to cross those train tracks into your landlocked swamp. To give you an idea about how mispriced this property is, I want you to take a look at the property immediately to the west on 31 Airport Road. This property sold in April of 2020 for a price of $491,600. It's on a larger building lot, so it's actually a larger property. It has road access. So you can access it with a car and you can go there. It's mostly outside the flood zone, and it features a 59,000 square foot industrial building. And yet it's sold at $900,000 less than the asking price of the landlocked swamp next door. Okay. So if we assume that the wetlands map is accurate on this $1.4 million property, honestly, I mean, its value, knowing its value, it's more art than science, but I think it's probably worth like 65 grand. The only potential buyer really for something like this would be one of the two adjacent commercial landowners on either side of the property. And the way the deal would work is, for example, the manufacturing facility or the owner of that property immediately to the west on Airport Road would buy that land for like 50,000 bucks. And what they would do nothing with it because you really can't do anything with it. But then like 4 years, 8 years down the line, they would actually then arbitrage the value of the acreage on the resale of the industrial building. So in other words, they would sell an industrial building instead of an industrial building on 10.6 acres, they'd sell an industrial building on 18.5 acres. And they would just point to that acreage as like a privacy buffer where like they at least know that nobody else is going to use that land. But the thing is, guys, like you're not like there's really no value. Like you're still shuffling paper because you're still not really going to do anything with that land. And the closest comp, if you had to sort of scratch a comp out of this local market to find a property that's even like substantially similar to get a sense of the value, would probably be this 11.5 acre property on Highway 27 in Lake Wales around the way. It's sold at $185,000. It's got like a light commercial industrial zoning, so similar sort of zoning profile here. It's 100% in a flood zone and it's mostly covered in wetlands and lake. But however, there's a 1.23 acre area of potentially usable acreage on the northern strip of the property that, like, if you squint, is maybe buildable. Okay. But at least you have access. You have some potentially usable acreage with road access, two things that you don't have on the subject property around the way, the 7.9 acres. And even so, the land on Highway 27 sold at 87% lower than what they're asking for the landlocked swamp. So if you're, by the way, interested in getting access to the most technologically advanced land mapping software for property in anywhere in the United States of America, check out the land portal. We're going to offer a free 7-day free trial link that you can access via the QR code on the side of the screen or the link in the description below. But more tangibly, I want to show you an example of a property that the right sort of rural buyer might actually offer on. And I want to sort of compare and contrast it to some comps that will enable you to see the difference between list price and actual market value here. This is a property on Cuba Landing Road in Waverly, Tennessee. It's a 2.28 acre property listed for sale at $65,000. The property has about 1,260 feet of road frontage, so you have extensive road frontage, but roughly half of the property doesn't actually have enough buildable depth away from the road to realistically fit a home site on that area of the property. So you're talking about single acre, 1.01 acres we're estimating, that just does not have the depth net of the setbacks where you could actually build on it. But you do have a 1.2 acre area where you could build a home. Now there's a cemetery to the west behind the property called Ham Cemetery, and it actually, there's an easement that cuts through the middle of the property. So kind of a bummer, honestly, because you're going to have people coming and going through your property. So really, it's this sort of buildable area on the northern part of that land where you have enough space for a home and privacy where you won't see people coming and going. And then you have a strip of land to the south that creates a privacy buffer because really nobody's going to be building on that section by the road. So the question then becomes, well, what's that land worth? Well, when you go onto the AI comp report, you see that the AI is estimating the value of this subject property at $47,700, give or take. Now, to estimate the accuracy of that estimate, I'm going to look at the two comps that they highlight at the top of the comp report. Number one, this first one at 2 acres sold at $50,000 and was subsequently subdivided into two 1 acre parcels. So the 2 acres sold at 50, and then you had the subdivide potential there. And then that generated 2 separate building lots. And then similarly, you have this 2.8 acres that sold at 44,000. It's, 2 miles or so from our property. You have good road frontage, good depth, good usable depth of the property. And this 2.8 acres actually got subdivided into 6 separate parcels that are about 0.46 acres apiece. So based on the fact that these 2 properties that we're comparing it to have greater subdivide potential, these have anywhere between 2 and 6 separate building lots, even though they have the same acreage, whereas our property probably has 1, maybe 2. And so these ones sold at 44 to 50,000. The AI is saying that ours is about 47,700. I'm going to read that a little bit lower. I think a good number, a good estimated number would be about 36,000 on this one. That's just my hunch. About 36 would be my number here. You may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, this all sounds great. And now I understand how to go on the market and understand the actual value of some of these listings. But what do I have to do to actually get good value and get good discounts? And by the way, Alex, how do you know that this is even going to work? Well, I'll answer the second part first, and then we'll share some tactics and some technology tools that will help you actually make that happen. The reason that I know it's going to work is because I've done it countless times. I've built a career doing this, and I've bought hundreds of properties below market value. And a couple of quick examples here that are relevant. Number one, this land was listed at $80,000. I offered $21,000, and the seller accepted. They didn't negotiate. It was on the MLS, bought it at 21, relisted it at 45, and it sold a couple months later at 45,000. On this land over here was actually the seller we bought it from. She and her husband paid $50,000 when they bought it. The year later, they gladly sold it to us at $25,000. Then we resold it in the range of $50,000 on the market. I bought hundreds of tracts of land, like I said, below market value. And I can tell you one thing with complete certainty, which is that if somebody wants to sell, they will sell their land to you at whatever the highest price is that you would reasonably pay. The reason why is because if a property is for sale, the seller has to make a market by finding an actual market buyer, but there are no market buyers because the property is still for sale. So when you make a realistic offer, the market buyer is you. Therefore, they have to deal with you at your price in order to get what they want, which is to sell that land. And you don't have to be an expert at persuasion, guys. You don't have to be a pro at selling over the phone. You don't even have to talk to the seller in so many of these cases because you can just text the agent, just negotiate through them directly. And all you have to do to make this work, don't trust me, just follow me on this and just let yourself be astonished at the results that you get when you actually take action. Because all you have to do is make 20 to 30 offers on on-market property, cash offers below asking price over the course of several weeks. You could just make like an offer or two a day for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And if you do that, you're going to find great deals. If you're unwilling to do it, you will not find good deals. If you're willing to do it, you will find good deals. There's no middle ground. If you make the offers, if you make 20 or 30 offers, you will find the 2 or 3 sellers who are dying to sell. You're going to find overpriced land. You make your offer based on the actual value. And then you probably apply a discount to that. You can discount at 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% for market value and get the conversation going. And you will find sellers that will give you discounts of 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70% or more below their asking price. It happens every day. It is happening today in your market right now. Believe that. It is true. And all you have to do is make offers. Hey, I'm looking for land to build a home. I love the 5 acres on Main Street. I'm a cash buyer. I can close in 4 weeks, but I need to be at $45,000. That's one. Hey, I'm an investor looking for my next project. This might not make sense for you because I know that we're a lot below the asking price, but I really like the land. I'm a cash buyer at $62,000. I can close in 6 weeks and cover all the closing costs. That's 2. Hey, my husband and I are looking to build a future homestead. We're pre-approved with a USDA rural development loan, and I would love to submit an offer to buy that land from you at $80,000 and we can close in 60 days. That's 3. Just do that between 17 and 27 more times over several weeks or months. Take your time and keep track of these sellers, because if you do, you will find not one, but multiple deals that will just blow your hair back. Like, oh my God, he was right. I can't even believe it. Because I don't care. Yeah, I'm right. Sure. But I don't want to just be right. I want to help. I want to be helpful for you. So now that I went over some of the basics here, I want to go through and actually show you how you can go into any local land market in the country and pick out the right properties to make an offer on. How to do it all in one system so that you keep everything really organized as you get into your search. Now, you can do this anywhere in the US and all those steps are going to be basically the same, but what I want to do is show you an example here. So let's just say that I'm buying land in Seminole County, Oklahoma. What I'm going to do is type the county into the land portal. I'm going to select property status for sale. And then all the MLS and marketplace data is going to flood into your filter selection because all the properties that are on the MLS are in this system. I want to enter my maximum price of $150,000. Let's say my budget's 100. I want everything. I probably set it 200 because you can just offer and get discounts. I'm going to say, let's say minimum 1 acre land. Let's enter that. And we're going to sort from price low to high. Now you're going to see multiple results here. And I'm just going to scroll down and click this one. It's a 24.98 acre listing, $139,000 property. Go right to the map. You click it, you go right into the map. It looks like it's on a private dirt road. We like that. Click the MLS details. You've got electric at the road, which is good. You've got an unfinished tiny house and camper that are going to convey with the land. We like that too. Well-kept gravel road. And then you've also got a small creek. Look at the photo of the creek on the property. And when you go to the map filters, you can actually go on the land portal and expose the environmental filters. What you see is that the land has some modest slope to it, but you do see that creek going through the middle of the property. And you have a small flood zone around the creek, but that's no big deal because you got plenty of space to build on either side of it outside the flood zone. Especially on the northeast corner of the land, you have that big open section of space by the road. Now, when you order an AI comp report, remember they're asking $139,000, but the AI comp report on the land portal shows approximately $90,000 in value. The reason that they got that price is because the two most prominent comps, the sold comps in this data set that they're showing, sold in a range of $84,000 to $85,000 for similar size land nearby that was 25 acres in size. If you're looking for land in this area, you like this property, you can go ahead and save it to a saved search list. And then once you do that, you find a bunch of listings, you add them all to that list. And once you have a bunch of those listings, you can click on any of the properties in the list. You can pull them right up on an interactive map. And then those properties can be tracked in the offer tracker sheet through the land purchase navigator so that you keep track of all the land that you're making an offer on and all the negotiations that are unfolding in the months and weeks that'll follow. Now, having AI is really great, but you still need to be able to verify the AI land values that you're getting in the comp report. Not only can you do that, but you can also verify land values in as little as 60 seconds of online research. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in the next video coming up.